the emergency?
We're going to need some police up here quite urgently, I think. We had a gentleman who was dragging a case, and it looks like it's really heavy and there's blood coming out of it. It looks like there's blood coming out of the case.
I got a phone call saying, Neil, just to let you know, we've got a torso in one of the suitcases with body parts missing, and the second suitcase has also got a torso in it.
I was sat in my office when one of the officers came in and said, we found a video on the camera. Austin stabbed him a number of times in the chest and torso. He then does what looks like a song and a dance afterwards.
Those cops that were on the bridge that night, that called to this man acting strangely, opened those suitcases, not in a million years expecting to see what they found in there.
I think it's certainly one of the most harrowing, brutal murders I've dealt with in my time.
It's after 11 at night in Bristol. CCTV cameras on the city's most famous landmark show an unlikely tourist struggling with a large red case. He's pulling it along the pavement, dragging it across the Clifton Suspension Bridge. It's not the only one. There's a second case, a large silver trunk just metres away in a lay-by. By now, staff at the bridge notice him. They question him. He says the red case contains car parts he's trying to sell. Minutes later, he starts to move it. A passing cyclist tries to help. The man tells him he's from Colombia. He asks him to open the case. But the stranger refuses, walks away, then breaks into a run. The cyclist chases him, capturing it all on his phone. He speaks to him in Spanish. The stranger replies, "My boss is really bad," before trying to grab the mobile, then runs off into the night.
As we were walking along and got towards the other end, we started to see blood on the pavement, on the bridge. As we kept walking further along, we went down and turned, and we had some commotion behind us, and we saw, a cyclist chasing after a man who was just running away. He was, making a lot of noise. They stopped, and the guys managed to get away.
Can you describe the case to me?
It's a red case, red plastic case. There's obviously 4 wheels on it, but 2 of the wheels are broken, and that's where this red stuff is leaking out of, which we are concerned that it might be blood.
You said there's a second case, so I can look.
Yeah,
In the background, he said there's a second case, sorry.
Well, he said there was 2 cases, he was going to go and get his second case, and that's when he did a runner.
The silver case has an address label, 9 Scots Road in London. Paul Longworth and Albert Alfonso had known each other since they were young. Both had been fostered. They were soulmates, best friends in a civil partnership, living together in West London.
They didn't have huge family and friend circles around them. They were each other's everything. They were each other's absolute rocks and each other's worlds. They were everything to each other.
Albert was 62 and worked as a lifeguard at a health club. Paul, a bit older, he was 71 and had just retired. He was a regular in his local pubs.
He was a gentleman, he was a nice fella. Real, he got on well with most people. In fact, everyone really. No one disliked him. I think Albert was a bit more outgoing and Paul wasn't. He got on well with everyone that he met, and he had his own pool cue in the pub.
Neighbours in Shepherd's Bush say they were really happy together.
Paul, he was very friendly, very bubbly. I've always seen him smiling, never seen him sad or anything like that.
But Albert had another passion, for extreme sex. He liked to be dominated and degraded, posting online on special websites. Paul knew, but didn't have anything to do with Albert's dark desires.
Paul was in the relationship for companionship. Albert still very much sexually active, and it seems like it was a completely accepted within the relationship. Paul wasn't interested in that side of the relationship anymore and was quite happy that Albert went elsewhere for his sexual activity.
34-year-old Jostin Mosquera lived in Colombia. He'd done military service and has 2 young children.
I'm led to believe that he did have a wife and a child back in Colombia, but it does appear like he had quite a stable family life in Colombia.
But he wasn't the usual family man. He topped up his part-time work in construction by making porn, posting graphic videos online and charging people to watch. And Albert Alfonso was one of them. He messaged him and over the years sent him thousands of pounds to view his films and pay his bills.
Albert's thing was to be videoed having quite extreme sex. Obviously, Mosquera provided that service. Some would see it as quite a strange relationship. I don't think we're here to judge what that relationship is like.
In March 2024, Mosquera joined Albert and Paul on a luxury holiday in Colombia. 3 months later, Albert brought him back to the UK. And the trio started living together. They went on day trips to Brighton, and Albert enrolled him on a course to learn English. But while Albert and Paul were busy entertaining their visitor, he had plans of his own.
In the weeks leading up to the murder, Jostin had been searching how much 9 Scots Road was worth, searching property in Medellin, where he came from. And then we know a couple of weeks before the murder, he'd obtained a file from Albert's hard drive, which contained all of his banking IDs and login details as well.
I was outside my home and 3 of them walked past. Nothing out of the blue. Didn't know the gentleman in the middle of them. Paul said hello, and that was the last time I saw them.
How does that make you feel now?
Very sad. And I think it's knowing that I'm possibly the last person that saw them alive.
July the 8th, 2024 started like any other day for Albert and Paul. Albert left early for a shift at the gym. For Paul, it was an easy morning.
We see on CCTV Paul at the window of the flat speaking to a neighbour down below on the road. It was a fairly innocuous conversation, a normal conversation, but it turned out to be Paul's last conversation with anybody.
But while he happily chatted at the window, in the next-door bedroom, Mosquera was busy online. First, he searched for the price of Paul and Albert's flat. Next, he scoured Facebook Marketplace for a chest freezer, before going onto YouTube to search in Spanish, where on the head is a knock fatal. An hour later, a camera outside the flat shows Mosquera at the very same window, drawing the curtains. They stay shut for 30 minutes. Paul Longworth would never see the light of day again. Mosquera smashed his skull with a hammer.
Paul Longworth, his head had severe injuries to it. He also had what we call defensive injuries on him, so where he'd been fighting for his life as well, effectively, the pathologist was able to tell that there were injuries to his hands where he'd been trying to fend off an attacker.
He then hid Paul's body under the bed before Googling how long it would take for a corpse to decompose and checking his return ticket to Colombia. By 7:45, Albert was back from work. He and Mosquera then went to get some beers. It would be the last time Albert ever left home. A couple of hours later, the cameras set up in his bedroom to record erotic sessions filmed his own death, with Paul's dead body hidden under the bed next door. During sex, Mosquera secretly brought in a knife, stabbing Albert repeatedly.
The brutality of the murder and the fact that it was in such a intimate setting, one moment they're engaging in sexual activity together and the next moment Justin's slit his throat and is stabbing him and murdering him right in front of our eyes on the video was really harrowing.
His hands had multiple cuts as he tried to save himself.
You can hear Albert fighting for his life and effectively taking his last breath, literally fighting for his life. He then does what looks like a song and a dance afterwards, whilst Albert is still lying there, dying on the floor in the room.
What I see from that video is a person that's revelling in doing what he's doing, and the little dance afterwards is quite bizarre.
And then goes straight to the computer and starts trying to log into bank accounts and search for financial items on Albert's laptop.
The transfer failed. Instead, Mosquera took out hundreds of pounds from a cash point. What he did next shocked the world. It's the morning after he's killed the couple, and Mosquera goes outside the flat to take delivery of a chest freezer. He's also been messaging a man with a van, asking if he'll give him a lift to Brighton, along with his luggage. They agree a price of £200. But later that night, at this bar, he changes the plan and instead asks to be taken to Clifton in Bristol because of its famous bridge.
Moving the van drop-off location from Brighton to Bristol is one of the things in this investigation we've never been able to get to the bottom of. We've found nothing of any links between Justin and Bristol. Don't believe he's ever been to that area of the country before, but we know that they had been to Brighton on day trips or whilst he was over in June last year. Justin's explanation was simply, in his evidence, was simply that it was another place that began with B.
The next evening at 7:30 on the dot, a red van pulls up outside Scott's Road. A silver trunk is wheeled inside. And a red suitcase. Then, with Mosquera, the van sets off from London down the M4 to Bristol. At 10:30, he's dropped off in Clifton. Mosquera sets off with the suitcase, and a couple see him struggling with the weight of the bags. They try to help. Roger Malone and his son Giles also spot him.
I stood on the corner by the Mal pub there, and there's a level crossing, and there was some activity going on with a tall man in black clothing and a sort of hat more or less covering his face, struggling with a very large suitcase. And so Giles, who was just stood there from the case and the man, saying, "That looks heavy, mate. What have you got in there, a body?" Giles's Uber arrived, and the man in the dark clothing made a move towards it, and Giles said, "Excuse me, that's my Uber."
Instead, Mosquera got another taxi across the city's famous bridge. As he's dropped off, the driver notices something red leaking from the two cases. His passenger says it's oil. But just before midnight, the truth is uncovered.
Sorry, did you say you had a picture on CCTV as well?
On our CCTV, the guy has now run off.
The guy
He's
with
now
the
run
case.
off. Hang on, your officers are here now.
I got a phone call from one of our crime scene managers saying, Neil, just to let you know, we've got a torso in one of the suitcases with body parts missing, and the second suitcase has also got a torso in it. My reaction was, this is big.
In the silver case, the body of Paul Longworth. In the red one, the body of Albert Alfonso, the 2 residents of 9 Scots Road. Both their heads were missing.
Those cops that were on the bridge that night that called to this man acting strangely, opened those suitcases, not in a million years expecting to see what they found in there. And that's going to have an impact on anybody.
The yellow signs were very obvious, bridge closed, and there were a lot of police vehicles and policemen around. What sort of resonated with me and Giles was that he had said to this man, gosh, that's a very heavy suitcase, obviously. What have you got in there, a body? Now, the fact that he should say that in all innocence and just trying to be humorous and friendly, but in actual fact, he was modern-day Jack the Ripper, chopping up people.
Tonight at 10, police say they are looking for this man after 2 suitcases containing human remains were found in Bristol.
Officers arrived at the bridge within 10 minutes of the call, but the man had already left the area, leaving the suitcase behind. A second suitcase was located nearby a short time later. Sadly, the suitcases contained human remains.
We've got 2 bodies. I can't remember the last time we had 2 unknown victims in Avon and Somerset, and I've still got a suspect outstanding. So I really need to concentrate my efforts on identifying who the suspect is and who the victims are, and where the potential murder scene is, because I was confident that the bridge wasn't the murder scene.
The label on the suitcase gives the police a head start.
It's often the case in these sort of investigations, you get what I call the golden nuggets, and you just get that little bit of information that changes the direction of the investigation or gives you some focus. And we had a phone call from a member of the public, a resident in Clifton, that said the night before they'd seen a dusty red van drop off a male with 2 suitcases. This is just what I needed. It gave me somewhere to go. So again, I tasked my intelligence team to say, right, find me a red van moving around Bristol at the relevant time.
Within hours, they tracked down the driver of the red van who brought Mosquera to Bristol.
And this van driver said to us straight away, yeah, you're right, I picked up a male last night, I took him to Bristol with a couple of suitcases and I picked him up from Scots Road.
He also gives them his phone number and shows them a photo of Mosquera which matches the man caught on camera at the bridge, who is now on the run.
So we now know we've got a suspect, and a Justin Mosquera. We don't know who he is at that stage, what nationality he is. All we know is that's the person that left the suitcases on the bridge. So at that stage, I've got 2 body parts, but 2 torsos in Bristol. I've got hands, feet and heads missing, and I've got an address that I know that the suitcases were picked up from. The warrant was obtained and the Scots Road address and relevance of that became really clear, so the warrant was executed at Scots Road.
Police search a property in London after the remains of 2 men are found in suitcases in Bristol. The hunt for this man continues.
Paul and Albert's home in London was heavily bloodstained.
Walking into Scots Road, we didn't know what we were going into. At that point, we didn't know if there were just 2 victims or there might be additional victims, what the condition of the flat was going to be if they'd actually been murdered in that flat.
In the hallway, the newly purchased chest freezer.
The freezer wasn't plugged in. When we opened the freezer and started looking through the freezer, there were 2 heads of Albert and Paul were in the freezer, and also the hands and feet of Paul were in the freezer.
It's really shocked. First of all, because 2 people are dead. The second, because are a gay couple like me. I remember the day next, a lot of people come to pray outside the house and they put a lot of flowers. It's a very big, terrible tragedy.
Shocked. Shocked, really. I just didn't think that it would be, it was him, until I was told it was him by one of the locals. And they said, well, we don't know who the other guy is. And I said, that might be Albert, his ex-partner. But and it was when we found out.
In Bristol, the hunt is on for Justin Mosquera. The police have been tracking his phone, but for the last 2 days it's been turned off.
Now, know what I know now, from where he was seen when we arrested him, I think he was probably hiding out under the suspension bridge for that period of time on the North Somerset side of it.
In Lee Woods?
In the Lee Woods area, yeah.
But on July the 13th, 2024, 5 days after he'd murdered Albert and Paul, the killer's luck ran out.
Just after midnight on the 13th, his phone was switched back on. And we know that he went to the pizza place, the Red Box Pizza Place on Hot Wells Road.
There'd been so many unusual things in the case so far and so many strange actions behind the freezer but not turning it on, leaving the luggage tag on the suitcase. And there was still a part of me that wondered, the phone's gone on, but is it actually him?
We were confident at that stage that phone was moving in Bristol and moving in the Hot Wells area. So the next question you ask yourself is, where's he likely to be going just after midnight on a Saturday in a city that we don't think he knows? His picture's been all over the press. Where's he likely to be going? And so we second guessed he would probably be going to a transport hub.
I've got a hand, mate. Go. Yeah. I can say the words, I'll be secure.
Oh my God.
Secure.
He eventually was apprehended, sat on the bench outside Temple Meads train station. We're assuming ready to get a train back to London the next day.
Move your legs out to the front. Sit up. At this time, mate, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder. You don't have to say anything but maintain your defence. If you do not mention when questioned, something you later rely in court, anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand?
No. What?
You are currently under arrest for murder, okay? What's your name, mate?
What?
What's your name? Hombre.
Jot.
Jot?
Yeah.
Jot or Joss?
Jot.
Surname? Jot what?
Jot. Mosquera.
Mosquera had one shoe. Police think he lost the other one running away from the bridge. Jostin Mosquera went on trial at Woolwich Crown Court on June the 30th, 2025, charged with murdering Paul Longworth and Albert Alfonso. The jury was shown the video of the moments when Albert died.
Until we saw and realised this had been videoed, I don't think anyone could appreciate the brutality of that attack. You can kill someone with a knife with one cut, one stab, if you hit them in the wrong place, the right place, whichever way you look at it. But this attack that Mosquera did on Albert, which is the one that's videoed, is sustained. It's obviously pre-planned, it's brutal. He is clearly trying to kill him, and like I said, the fight that Albert puts up for his life is, in the circumstances, quite impressive.
In court, Mosquera told the jury he was raped every day by Albert Alfonso, and that if he left, Albert would kill his family in Colombia. Mosquera said in court that he was raped and threatened. What do you make by his defence?
So I think from everything we've seen in all the videos, we've seen no evidence of that.
He also claimed it was Albert who murdered his partner Paul. He did admit killing Mr. Alfonso after losing control, but said everything else was a blur until he woke up in Bristol. On July the 21st, 2025, Jostin Mosquera was found guilty of double murder.
It took the jury at Woolwich Crown Court just 5 hours and 3 minutes to unanimously find Jostin Mosquera guilty of double murder. As the verdict was read out, Mosquera looked calm and nodded as the judge spoke to him. Through an interpreter, the judge said he would only be able to consider a sentence of life imprisonment and wanted a psychiatric report.
From what we found in the investigation, so it appears that money was the main motivation for the murders.
On Friday, October the 24th, 2025, Jostin Mosquera was sentenced.
The sentence for both offences of murder is life imprisonment with a minimum term before deductions of 42 years. Those sentences have to be concurrent to one another. I stress that is a minimum. You may never be safe to set free.
This sentence sees justice secured for the cold-blooded murder of 2 innocent men and has taken an evil and dangerous offender off the streets. A sentence of this length demonstrates the seriousness with which the judge took his offending.
Wearing a green jumper and flanked by 6 prison guards, Justin Mosquera was sentenced to life in prison. He won't be out before he's 75. As he was led away, he gave the court a huge smile.
My thoughts remain with all those that knew and loved Paul and Albert, and whilst nothing can bring them back, I hope this sentence offers some semblance of justice and closure as they continue to process the trauma of what happened.
In my career, it's definitely up there as probably the most shocking murder I've dealt with, particularly the fact that the murder was filmed, the brutality of the murder, the fact that it's in circumstances where, you know, Albert and Paul had invited Justin into their home and he's murdered them during sort of intimate activity between the two of them in such a brutal and callous way on video is really, really, really shocking.
We as police officers see horrible things every day, but you can never harden yourself to it. You always expect it, but obviously never want to see it. You know, we join the police knowing that we're going to see awful stuff, you know, car crashes, people hit by trains, murder victims. You know, there's every chance that whether it be first thing on a Monday morning and last thing on a Friday night, you may come across that in your normal course of duty. They weren't expecting that.
I miss his banter. He was funny. He was quite a funny bloke, you know. Always happy. I'd never see him have a argument with anyone in all the years I've known him. He was such a nice, gentle guy, really, you know.
I've always asked myself the question, he could have committed at that stage almost the perfect murder. He's killed 2 people within the premises. They're the only 2 people that live in that address, so nobody else is going to come home and find them. He didn't need to dismember them. He didn't need to take them to Bristol, and he might not even know why. But why take those risks when you could have just jumped on a plane back to Colombia and never been seen again?